And I have seen in one of your video, like you were talking about your mental challenges, and this is something that we are born and we are raised in a community where we don't talk about this one, and we feel like this is something shameful, or is something like a stigma, and we also feel like we have what the people think about it. If we actually share about our mental challenges, then we have a fear like what will people think about it, or how they're gonna judge our that thing. So but when I see you sharing on that video, and that's what I like about you, like you just share what you want to. So just want to know about those experiences. What was that about? I'm like,
One of the thing about me is that I, from very childhood of mine, like I've always been like kind of an antisocial when it comes to like societal rules and the regulations. I have always been like, why do I have to do that? It doesn't make sense. Why am I doing this? I've always been asking those kind of questions, and that's why I like to share those kind of videos, because there will be people who are gonna say that he's bullshit or he's a crybaby or whatever, but there will be someone else who can relate to that and who will feel better about themselves. So, talking specifically about that, I think it was June, July, somewhere around that of 2019, where I went through a bit of a depression during that time. It was a 2 months of time where I didn't have contact with any friends. I was doing Uber Eats, I think. So, like, I wasn't meeting any people. I wasn't picking up anyone's calls. I was completely out of social media and everything. And I was in a really dark state of mind. So dark that I even had thoughts of suicide and those kind of stuff. And I actually had, like, suicide help number screenshot in my mobile phones, just in case that if I go way out of control, at least I'll call them or something like that. I was in that state. It was really bad. I didn't see a purpose for my life. I didn't have a meaning to life. I don't know, man. It was very bad. What was that? I don't know. It was just a bad depression. I don't know what kind of depression was it, because there are different levels to that. But when it went out of control for so long, I somehow brought up the courage, whatever, to come here and meet with Vanessa, our student counselor. And when I talked to her about whatever was happening, and we had a chat, and when I came out of that room, I felt like that was one of the most courageous acts of my life. And I believe most of the people who are there going through a mental health situation right now, that's what happens with them. They are not only socially stigma. I don't know, whatever goes inside their brain or the feeling of whatever is happening, they can't just go out and talk to anyone like that. It is one of the most courageous acts of my life, as I said, to go out there and just talk to the student counselor about what is happening with me. And that happened. Then I went to a doctor. The first thing the doctor asked was, do you want to have a medicine for this? Like, he wasn't suggesting me any natural processes or do exercise, eat good food or here and there. He was directing me, do you want to have medicine? And I'm like, no. I don't want to have medicine, man. I don't want to be dependent on medicine just for that. And just those two acts somehow helped me to pull myself out of that state and activate that part of my brain which was like, no, you can do this. You can't let things like this control you. It's your body, it's your mind. You have the control. It's not like your mind controlling you. And somehow from that day or that state, after that step, I went to the gym. I started looking into my lifestyle and those kind of stuff. And even these days, it comes back. It haunts me from time to time, and it goes for like weeks, sometimes for months. But since I've been through that state, I somehow now realize what is starting to happen. And I can feel like, okay, so this is starting. So what are the things I can do? What is going wrong? What is happening? I have now the habit of analyzing my thoughts and processes. One of my friends, it just came out during the conversation like this. Like, there are 3 things you can look into if you are having those kind of depressive thoughts. Emotions, thoughts, and behavior. They are kind of interrelated. So what's happening? Is it the thoughts that come first that affects your emotion and your behavior? Or is it the emotions that come first and then comes the thought? So if you can only, the first thing is realization that you are having this kind of situation, you are having this kind of mental state. Most people have a hard time realizing that. They can't figure out that they are going through like that kind of a phase. I have like 2 different phases that I go through that I've named basically. One is the depressive phase or the negative phase, and the other is called a zone, where I'm like motivated, I have full of energy. And one of my friends actually was saying this few weeks back, like, I'm always living in extremes. Like, If I am happy, motivated, energetic, I'm at high level. And if I'm depressed, I'm at the very bottom level. There is no like middle ground, which is something I have to work on. Because not every day is a good day. Sometimes you have a bad days, but that doesn't mean your whole life is a bad one. And one of the other things you can do during those situations is that pull yourself out of the details, Just not only, instead of focusing on a particular hour or particular situation of the day, look at the overall life. Like what has happened in the past 2-3 years, because there should be a lot of good things that have happened in the past 2-3 years. So that somehow helps. But yeah, the mental health situation, man, I think I wouldn't say I don't have proper data or stat for that, but I think every one of the international students who is here has to go through that high stress level, high pressurized situation that we haven't been through before. So that surely develops some kind of mental health issue. For some people, they are good with that, they are able to handle it and manage it. For some others, it's hard, it's difficult to do that.
Yeah. I checked the data. Like it said, like 25% of overall international students are really in a severe depression, like 1 in 4. So and we go through mental challenges, but one thing I realize is like the toughest part is to be open, to share about it, to talk about it. I mean, like, so how did you get that courage?
I don't know, man. As I said, coming out of the student counselor's office, that was one of the most courageous act of my life. That's how I felt like it. So, I don't know, maybe what we can do is check out with our friends and just ask them, like, not only how are you physically, but how are you emotionally and mentally. I think that is a good way to start, to look out. We can't look out to everyone, but at least check out with your friends, like with your family members who are close to you. Just ask the question, not only how are you physically, but how are you mentally and emotionally right now. And if they trust you, if they have been talking with you properly about everything in their life, they might be able to open up to you in those kind of situations. How to bring out the courage, I don't know, man. I was able to do it somehow. I was very lucky to do that. It didn't went out to be worse. But yeah, go out, ask for help. If you can't do it, you need to go out and ask for help. I know it is one of the most difficult tasks in your life, but you can't just be living like in a depressive way, forever. So you have to do something, because no one else can do anything for you. You have to do something yourself. No one else is going to come and help you unless you go and ask for help. Because people who are going through those kind of situations, depressive feelings, when you look at them from the outside, you will never know that. They are very good at hiding those kind of emotions. It only comes out when you're alone, when you're especially at the night time. That is something else I have realized. During the daytime, when you meet friends and everything is okay, when you go back home, when you're alone, that's when those kind of feelings start to haunt you. So, I don't know. Figure out a way. One of the things you can do is, as I said, analyze what is happening. What are your thoughts? What are your emotions? How is it affecting your behavior? If it is like a clinical depression where it is because of like lack of hormones or disbalance of hormones in your body, you have to go to a doctor. You have to go to a doctor and you have to treat it like that. But in most of the cases, like what I might have had, I don't know if it was clinical depression or not. Again, as I said, I'm the expert in that and I don't know the exact terms of what a clinical depression is or what something else is. But what I know is, if you have a clinical depression, it's because of the disbalance of hormones and those kind of stuff in your body. So you have to go to a doctor and check it out. For others, look into those 3 things: emotions, behavior, thoughts, and then look into your lifestyle. If you go to the gym for 1 week, you will see a difference. If you go out and run for 1 week, you see a difference. Look at what kind of food you're having. If you're just having like junk food, that affects your brain. That affects your feelings. Your sleep. I was just listening to a Joe Rogan podcast where there was a guy, I forgot his name, but he had been doing research in sleep, which he has been doing for like 20 years now. And what he said was, you at least need 7 hours of sleep. If you reduce 1 hour by 6 hours, like if you only sleep for 6 hours, it has detrimental effects in your health in the long term. So sleep is very necessary. Sleep, food, exercise. Start with that. But if it's a clinical depression, you can't. Again, to go out and do that exercise, to go out and balance your food, it's a hard thing to do. But you have to force yourself to do that. Where do you get that courage? I don't know. But you have to force yourself.
Yeah.
That's how I did it.
I also found like what you said, like so it's for me it's like when I did research and like it all started with a thought. Like so you have a negative thought, then you have a negative feelings. So when you have a negative feelings, then you have a negative emotions. You act like that. So for example, if your thought is very positive thought, then you have a positive feeling, and when you have positive feeling, then you act like a positive. So for me, like I don't say I went through a depression, but I feel like when I self reflect now, I feel like I have a feeling of depression, like feeling. So, oh, I'm going, like, I'm in depression. So, for me, the phase was around just 2 weeks. So, it was like a negative thought comes, something like, just like we come here and we have a pressure to succeed in our life. Pressure to like, oh, you have to succeed in your life. And there are so many other pressures, financial pressures. And just like you just feeling unworthy in life, like, losing like getting lost from your purpose of your life, and that thoughts keep on coming in my mind, and that really made me very feel sad. That decreases my confidence, and I was feeling very low self-esteem, and like you, I wasn't going anywhere, just sitting around home and just thinking about that. And what I realized now is one mistake I did was I didn't accept that. I didn't accept those negative feelings. As you know, like I feel like I'm a positive guy. How can those negative feelings comes to me? So, so I was feeling like that. So I was not able to accept that negative feelings coming to my brain or my mind. So so about 2 weeks. So and then I went to doctors. I also went to a doctor. So I told him like these things is happening to me, and he gave me 3 options. Like you want to go for medications, then you have to take at least for 6 months, and the other option is you have to go for psychiatrics. And the third option was just give some more time unless you can heal. So I didn't choose for medication. Like I have to go for 6 months. I'm not ready for that. And I didn't go to psychiatrist because I don't know how much money I have to pay or how much days I have to go for that. And I chose the third one. Just let me give for more time. And what I realized is when I accepted that, okay, this is a part of life. Like life is not about success, or there is failures as well. Like when I accept that, okay, this is a part of life. And they're saying like it's okay to be not okay. So when I realized that, and then the next day, everything became normal. So even nowadays, I feel sad, I feel anxious, but it's okay to have that. So when I realized that, when I accepted that, finally I came out of that situation.
Another misconception we have around, like in the society, I can say, is that just because you had a negative thought or a negative feeling for a day or two doesn't mean you are in depression.
Yeah.
Depression has to be something like which goes on for like weeks and months. That's when you can say like, okay, so that might be depression. Sometimes you don't have good days, sometimes you have bad days and you have negative feelings and emotions. But that doesn't mean you are depressed, because once you start thinking that, okay, I'm depressed, it just makes it worse. So you shouldn't let that happen. I think we need to change that misconception. That's the thing, we don't have a lot of knowledge or a lot of talks about mental health, so we basically don't know what is it like, what is depression, what is not a depression. You go to Google and see for symptoms, okay, feeling sad, negative thoughts, negative emotion, they just show that and we feel like, oh shit, I'm depressed, and it just keeps on making it worse. But that's not true. So you need to change that misconception. Sometimes you have bad days, that doesn't mean you're depressed, man.
Yeah, that's what I realized when I self-reflect. But initially I thought I was in depression, but when I self-reflect, no, it wasn't depression. It was just feeling of depression, and it was just because of that negative thoughts.
And it's also because we're stressed too much all the time that happens, and that somehow is a reason for me to not being able to get out those kind of feelings if I start stressing myself too much. So I need to pull myself back and see that, okay, you're stressing yourself too much. Maybe just chill out. Maybe go enjoy. Forget about everything for a few days, and that helps. Talking about how to get the courage, I just remembered I had this like mechanism that I've developed whenever I start to feel depressed or I start having negative feelings. The first thing that I do is I accept that. I just say, like, okay, I'm having negative feelings. I'm having negative depressive feelings. This is a part of life, and I just analyze it, see it, and sometimes that works. Sometimes if that doesn't work and it just goes for like weeks and months, then I start thinking, shit, this is going wrong. I need to do something about it. It's not going to get better by itself. And that's when I start looking at what is happening, what diets am I looking at, what am I eating, what am I exercise am I doing, what am I doing in my daily life. and how is it affecting? Because as I said, since I had that experience once, I know things better now. I know, okay, I'm having this kind of feelings, this is happening. Basically, I can figure out a day when I'm not having those feelings and I'm having those feelings. But as I said, sometimes it doesn't. Like as I said, a few months back, I wasn't able to get out. I was having anxiety during my work. Like literally, I was working and I used to like feel scared from inside without any reason. You know, like when I analyzed it, what I found out was something. Doesn't matter whatever. Someone would say me something bad, or I might make a mistake at work or anything. That would make me like feel bad or upset, and that triggers that anxiety kind of things, and I start thinking more things, more negative things, and I used to have anxiety attacks, and all of those always ended in one thing: shit, I don't have a PR. What is going to be my future like? What is going to be my career like? I don't have an engineering. It's always ended in that. Doesn't matter how it started. It's always ended in that. And once I figured that out, and that's when I actually wrote a letter to a friend of mine. We have this habit, we just developed it, like where we basically write email. Instead of just chatting on Facebook, we just write emails like letters to each other, like in the old times. So I did that, and while I was writing those things, that's when that part of brain kicked in, and I decided, it's okay. So these are the problems. How are we going to solve this? What's happening? And that's when I decided, okay, I don't have an engineering job. That's all right. I'll just get the skills that I need. I can survive anywhere with the skills I have right now. You know, I have skills of music. I have skills of engineering. I have skills of dental. I have skills of photography and videography. Man, I can survive anywhere. Why am I pressurizing myself so much? You know. So that once I realized that thing, you know, analyzed that and wrote that letter and everything, and that's when I started like making changes. I started just clicking photos. I started doing something in the field of filmmaking and those kind of stuff, and that helped me to get out of those anxiety and feelings. I'm in a much better state right now. But it's a part of life. It's a cycle. I go through depressive phase and zone, phase and zone. It keeps on like in a cycle. It keeps on happening with me.